The light is almost here and I already get highlights in the moss. And you see it on top of the rocks? Good times. Hello and welcome back. It's been a while since my last video, and although I kept recording footage, it never felt as if there was enough material to make a video about a single subject. That's why this video will be about returning to a location, but not exclusively so. I will also touch on other subjects, such as the importance of light and weather to create moody pictures. That's actually a good thing in my opinion, because there is a ton of videos about shooting in epic landscapes on YouTube already. Now without further ado, let's jump right in. My favorite location for landscape photography here in Germany is the Teutoburg forest, a range of low forested hills some 50 kilometers southeast from where I live. It takes me about an hour to get there by car, so I try not to make the trip without having a good idea of what to shoot once I'm there. It's also somewhat difficult to predict what conditions will be like, even more so after 2018's drought. I went there a few times in the hope of shooting a nice picture at the Silver Creek, but returned home empty-handed more often than not. There simply wasn't enough water. So when I finally made the trip in early January 2019, I tried not to get my hopes up. However, I was in for a pleasant surprise. Not only had the water returned, but some snow had fallen overnight and there was some mist too. It was a fantastic view to behold. Like I said, I never make the trip without having a good idea of what and how to shoot, and this time was no different. The plan was to take a picture at the same spot I had been shooting last time, because composition-wise, this location had a lot of potential. It just needed some water to support it. Now, this isn't the latest fashion, I'll admit, but waders have proved invaluable for shooting waterfalls and anything revolving around flowing water. You may feel embarrassed wearing these, in particular with people passing by and looking at you in disbelief, but you'll get over it eventually. Also, when shooting water, always have a couple of these ready. A cloth just doesn't cut it, because it can't soak up water as quickly as a tissue can. Wearing waders, taking the image was a piece of cake, but I had to be wary of the spray landing on the filter in front of my lens. Any trace of water remaining on the filter will manifest as blur in the final image that is hard to fix in post, if at all. Like I said, there's a lot of potential in that particular spot, so it shouldn't come as a surprise that a couple of days later I went and took yet another image. Of course, there was no mist this time around, but the sun was peeking through the trees and I used that to my advantage. I went very low this time and got pretty close to a rock in the water to greatly emphasize depth. Shooting vertically improved depth even further. But there were still more pictures to be had, so it wasn't long before I was on my way to Silver Creek yet again. The plan was to take an image very similar to the one I shot in the mist, but this time with the sun shining through the trees. A sunburst would be nice, I thought. Some highlights in the moss growing on the rocks inside the creek and more detail in the water. You can see I put my best dress on just for you. Anyway, this is the basic setup. There is a curve leading up the creek, and you can see that the sun is out already, and it hits the trees over there, and that makes for a very nice mood, and it will get even better because the sun is coming up behind the trees and will peek through them, and then I will get a sun star. And hopefully the sun will hit that moss as well, so I get those beautiful highlights. I'm going to clean up a bit. That is always a good idea, to clean up the place. The less work you will have in Photoshop later on. Why use Photoshop to remove clutter if you can do it on site? The night is almost here, and I already get highlights in the moss. Can you see it on top of the rocks? Good times. The dynamic range in this scene was crazy, but I somehow managed to merge dozens of frames into a single image. So, is that the end of it? Am I done with that particular location? Not by a long shot. You see, there's only so many locations to choose from in a certain radius, and that number is unlikely to go up overnight. That is why you need to be clever when shooting local. You need to come up with fresh ideas, try different angles, shoot in different weather, anything. You don't have the luxury of traveling to an epic location, wait for sunrise or sunset, take your shot and leave. Anyway, that's it for this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more of this content, please consider subscribing. And as always, good light.